Good morning. This is pretty daunting. Can you hear us in the back? Yay! We couldn't be more excited to be right here, right now with you. And when we were thinking about how to take just a few minutes to create an introduction, a context for the week, it occurred to us nothing says it better, no one says it better than our students. So we wanted that little clip to give you a reminder of what connects us, why we're here, what we have in common, and to have students in the center. So a minute, not so much the center, but a reminder of what we're doing and why we're doing it. You might guess this is the largest gathering ever for NTAC Network. We have about 1,000 people here, and 1,000 people is a little bit daunting, but mostly very energizing for us. And I started by not doing the one thing I was told to do, and that is to tell you who I am. So we're off to a great start this morning. My name is Lydia Dobyns, and it is my pleasure to lead the NTAC Network, and this is passion for every one of us who works in the organization, as much as I know it is for every one of you. So who's here? We have about a third of the room are teachers who are here, who are brand new, and many of them were hired last week in their jobs, who will be teaching in a NTAC school in a matter of weeks. So we want to welcome you in every way possible. They started Sunday night, really in earnest yesterday, so about a third of the people you are surrounded by are brand new, and be gentle with them and kind and wish them well. About another third are at this conference for the first time, but they're veterans. They just finished their first year of teaching in the network, and they're probably really happy that they're here and they're not in that first third group. And then the other third, this is where math, you're going to test my math, because when I tell you about who's here in addition to the other third, someone will remind me that's enough thirds. The other third are the veterans here. So they're teachers, directors who have been involved in a NTAC school for 2 or more years, many of whom have had graduating seniors, so they truly are pioneers and have toiled and worked and celebrated success for many years now. I won't call it another third, but I'll just say also here today are representatives from 36 districts who are here to explore opening a NTAC school in 2012, so we really welcome you as well. And that leaves the staff. So our NTAC staff has grown as the network has grown. So we are here, all but a few of us, who are holding down the Napa fort. It's a tough job to have to be in Napa in the summer, although they all wish they were here. And so that's who's in the room. My goal this morning is not so much to talk about the agenda, because for everyone who's been carrying around the agenda, you know how much material there is, and so we know you'll navigate to make the most out of this week. I did want to take a minute or two and help us kind of move up a little bit and think about, why are we doing this? I mean, other than the fact that we all have a passion for education, but why this? Why this work? Why are we together? And we were talking a little bit about how to get this started this morning, and Rick Lear, who heads up school design and implementation, suggested this quote from someone I admired greatly. It was a congresswoman from Texas, Barbara Jordan, and I loved it. It seemed to say in very few words, capture kind of the promise, the intent and promise of why we're doing this work. And it also helped for me think about getting out of the things that occupy so much of our conversation: 21st century skills, project-based learning, culture, trust, respect, responsibility, technology, all really important to the work we're doing, but they're means, they're not the end. And the end is really about being able to bring this promise to as many students as possible. And in that light, as we think about the promise, this was the sort of the shower moment. I don't know how many of you have that. The shower moment as I was trying to think about how do we really, what is driving our own notion of success? How do we, it's one thing to say as many students as possible, but it's how we get there. What describes the way we're getting there, who we are to each other, and how we can have impact? And so this is the working hypothesis, and that is that the degree to which we succeed, and that is really in terms of the numbers of students of every background, that we help realize this promise, the promise that was in Barbara Jordan's quote, is absolutely directly correlated to, in my mind, three things: our ability to listen carefully, observe keenly, and act thoughtfully. So I invite you to kind of take that in and see if that doesn't guide your week, and if it lasts the week, that's great. If it goes more than that, that's also great. But it governs everything I do and what we hope comes across to you and all the work that we do in helping you in your schools. Now to go from the grandiose to a little bit more focus, and so I can make way for our keynote this morning. We do want to share with you, we have two focus points for us that have occupied us for a lot of the last year, and we are excited to have them present this week in so many sessions, and that is a focus on school-wide literacy and problem-based learning in math. So I don't know what the final count is on the sessions, but there are a lot. They're kind of every day, everywhere, for everybody, and we strongly encourage you to be able to soak up as much as we have to offer this week in these two areas. We're really convinced that these two focus points are going to strengthen the rigor and quality of the projects that are being built and really improve the effectiveness of teaching across all subjects. So this is, we developed this spring pilots around these areas, had a number of schools participate, rolled out all the content here in the new schools training in June for about 300 teachers or so who will be part of new schools opening this fall. And this week we're here to offer this to everyone who's in the network, as well as the new teachers who are being trained, and this will be a focus for us in the coming year. We think it's going to be very powerful, and we look forward to your giving us feedback along as you begin to use these in your classes. Guess what? We talk about focus in the classroom, and we know that for everyone in this room, you get asked, if not daily, hourly sometimes, but how do you know it's working? How do you know that the promise of the new tech school is actually working? And of course, as time goes by, we'll have lots more data to be able to help us measure that in terms of what our graduates do after high school. But in the meantime, we know everyone here has to answer not only to state standards, but to district standards, and also to your own, the school-wide outcomes that you address. So we've been working on some benchmarks that really help us improve the way that we give feedback to you about how the model is going. And I wanted to share, I know this is a test. This is when I said earlier, could everyone in the back hear? What I didn't ask is if you could see, because this is more than the 2020 exam. So it's a tease, and the tease is, so you'll find coaches and most importantly, Paul Curtis, who's personally going to be producing, I teased him about this last night, the benchmarks for all the 2010s, and it includes ways to calibrate for your school in all the elements of the model that are so important. So how effective is the project-based learning? How pervasive is it? How are things, what is your student culture like and how effective and strong is the professional learning community in your school, how many students have success rates in the classes, and importantly, what is the progress against school-wide learning outcomes. These are all elements that we know help us determine the caliber and quality of the implementation of the model. So just trust me when I say there's a lot of good information here, and as the coaches get ready to work with schools in the fall, this is what they'll be going over with you as you look at plans. It's the way to gauge how closely your school is in following the elements of the model in a way that we know will produce the kind of success for students that is in the promise of NTAC. Profiles. So we are building also for public consumption. So if you think about the benchmarking, that's really our internal, a way to have internal dialogue with you, and that is coach to teachers, coach to directors, about things that we've all adopted as language in a way to look at the model. Your public, all the stakeholders in your school, also have a need to know, and we've developed profiles that we've drafted for all the schools in the network. I had to start with the Data Jedi badge because I promised Hillary and Chris and Patrick that I would lead with this and let you ask more about it, including the Latin translation, which is something like perfect data in the right time or something like that, but Latin is not my strength. But the profiles and what they look like, it measures your school against the standardized test compared to the district and the state, but more importantly, gives a framework to really talk about school-wide learning outcomes. We would love to shift the conversation away from standardized test only into lots of other indicators of a healthy school, successful school, and students who are doing really well in learning what we all believe they need to learn to be successful in life after high school. So these will be rolling out. We have drafts here this week, so if you attend the couple of sessions led by Hillary and Patrick on data, they will also want to engage with you in ways we can hold hands more effectively to get better data, which we in turn can help give back to you to answer all those questions that you get about that. And another area that I wanted to talk a little bit about that's been a major focus for us is ECHO. Last year, we rolled ECHO out here, and we had a year of learning a lot about ECHO. And I am here today to say to everyone here who was part of that journey, willingly or not, last year, that we owe a debt of gratitude to everyone who helped us get ECHO to where it is today. And we are very excited about where ECHO is, and know that this next year we have a tool that is going to deliver on the promise of enhancing all the work that you do. And we couldn't be here without your patience and your support, and we're excited about where the platform is and where it can go. I visited, I don't know, 20, 25 schools last year, and I always ask the question, and you can imagine depending on the month it was, what some of the answers were, but the students always gave me the most hope because they're, as always, incredibly open and candid about it. But when you hear students talk about what they do with ECHO, it was inspiring to me, and we can't wait to keep going with where ECHO is. So we talked about the focus in math and literacy, talked about our working with you to be able to give you tools to help know how you're doing with your schools, and to how to communicate with the people who care a lot about how your school and how your students are doing. And we talked about ECHO, which means that I'm almost done with setting a context for the week. So let's bring it back to Barbara one more time. So what Americans want is simple. They want an America as good as its promise. We think that in its simplicity and power, it does an excellent job of saying what we aspire to deliver on and what we hope we can continue to find ways that we work together with you to make this possible for more students everywhere. And speaking of making it possible, I want to take a moment to thank two sponsors who have helped us in being able to bring this conference to you, Toshiba and Steelcase. And we have an innovation lab that Toshiba has helped sponsor, and we hope you'll stop by that during the week. It's upstairs on the second floor. And Steelcase has helped us in many ways, not the least of which was making available Steelcase University yesterday for a meeting we had with superintendents and directors. And there's also a session, I believe, tomorrow morning that will be at Steelcase. So we really appreciate their support. And now it is my distinct honor to be able to introduce Alfie Kohn, who will be our keynote this morning. Alfie Kohn writes and speaks widely about education, parenting, and human behavior. He's the author of 12 books, including Punished by Rewards, The Schools Our Children Deserve, Beyond Discipline, Unconditional Parenting, The Homework Myth, and just published this spring, longest title, I think, Feel Bad Education and Other Contrarian Essays on Children and Schooling. Alfie's criticisms of rewards and competition have helped to shape the thinking of educators as well as parents and managers across the US and abroad. Time magazine, meanwhile, has described him as America's, quote, most outspoken critic of education's fixation on grades and test scores, unquote. He lectures widely and has been featured on numerous TV programs, including 2 appearances on Oprah. Kohn's recent articles include Turning Children into Data in Education Week, 5 Reasons to Stop Saying Good Job in Young Children, How to Create Non-Readers in English Journal, and Why Self-Discipline is Overrated in the Phi Delta Kappa. Kohn lives actually in the Boston area and virtually at www.alfiekohn.org. It's my pleasure to welcome Alfie Kohn.